Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. It is 10 minutes before 4, Monday, December the 1st. Hope you're having a great Monday and a great start to your December as well. I've got my big blue mug of coffee. I think it would be a stretch to suggest that the independence movement here in Alberta was going to get a Christmas present, something before Christmas. But today, it's quite possible that we were notified of an independence vote coming up in 2026. And I got this article, actually I got an email from the Western Standard regarding this article right here. Alberta Citizen Initiative petition passes verification. Let me read just a little bit of this for you. Elections Alberta has completed verification of the Alberta Forever Canada Citizen Initiative petition, confirming it has met all requirements under the Citizen Initiative Act. Chief Electoral Officer Gordon McClure announced the petition, led by former Alberta Cabinet Minister Thomas Lukaszuk, is successful. The petition, which asked Albertans whether the province should remain in Canada, required 293,976 signatures, or 10% of the electors from the 2023 provincial election. They got 438,568. Under the Citizens Initiative Act, the Assembly must consider the proposal, and a committee may recommend a referendum, which would take place on or before the next provincial election on October the 18th, 2027, if approved. Lukaszuk must return, and it goes on to discuss what Mr. Lukaszuk has to do and how this process has gone. Now, his question asked whether it says that you want to remain in Canada. Alberta wants to remain in Canada, while the independence movement is saying Alberta becomes separate and wants to be outside of Canada. But as the Premier said regarding Mr. Lukaszuk's petition, there are implications.
Mr. Lukaszuk's vote is a yes-no question. It is a separatist referendum. He may be trying to characterize it differently. But if you ask people if you want to remain in Alberta, yes or no, there are implications if people answer no.
It is a separatist referendum. There are implications if you answer no. The Premier of Alberta. So I hope some reporter or somebody who knows what's going on right now, that has a microphone, puts it in front of Premier Danielle Smith in the next day or so and asks her the question. Mr. Lukaszuk and his Citizens Initiative has passed through this process, and we're going to possibly have a referendum on this. If there is a referendum and people vote no, meaning they don't want to stay in Canada, does that mean Alberta leaves? I would like a clear answer on that one myself. I've asked a number of people on this channel, a couple of which were lawyers, Jeff Rath here, and I asked Keith Wilson, lawyer Keith Wilson, on this channel about this, and this is what he had to say.
Whoever goes through that pathway, whether it's Lukaszuk and the Forever Canada crew or the independence group through Alberta Prosperity Project, at the end of the day, what both of them do is cause the Premier and her cabinet to say, all right, are we holding a referendum? When are we holding it? And what is the question going to be? So Lukaszuk has effectively shortened the process and expedited the process for there to be a province-wide referendum on independence. Thank you very much, Thomas Lukaszuk. He did not think this through. It's quite remarkable.
Mr. Lukaszuk might have triggered a referendum for Alberta to leave the country. It is possible. I've been all over this since the very beginning. I said way back when, months ago, that we ignore this at our peril, but I also had many questions about this. I wrote to Gordon McClure, those of you who have been to the channel for some time, Gordon McClure, the Chief Electoral Officer, I wrote to him and asked him a number of questions that I wanted answered, because I wanted to know how you could have a referendum and the outcome is the same regardless of how you vote, yes or no. Now, please ignore the fact that I'm wearing a cowboy hat here. It was right before the stampede, but these are the questions I asked of Chief Electoral Officer Gordon McClure months ago. Gordon McClure is the Chief Electoral Officer of Alberta, from me in Calgary. Subject: questions regarding the recent approval of Citizens Initiative referendum. I'm writing to seek clarity regarding the recent approval of a Citizens Initiative for a referendum on the question, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? I would appreciate it if you could address the following questions concerning your approval of this initiative. 1. Assuming the response options for this question are yes or no, what would be the outcome if a majority of Albertans vote no? 2. If the outcome remains the same regardless of how people vote, what is the purpose of this referendum question? More importantly, why was it approved? 3. Should time, effort, and taxpayer money be spent on a referendum that, regardless of the result, maintains the status quo? 4. If the purpose of this referendum is purely partisan, to pressure the Premier into supporting the petition, which appears to be the petitioner's intent, see link below, is this an appropriate use of your office? Your mandate states that Elections Alberta is an independent, non-partisan office of the Legislative Assembly responsible for administering provincial elections, by-elections, and referenda. And here's the page from their website that states exactly that. And 5 is a petition designed to influence or pressure a single individual, the Premier, a responsible and non-partisan use of your time and taxpayer resources. Now, there may be other questions, but it's really number 2 that concerns me. If the outcome remains the same regardless of how people vote, what is the purpose of this referendum question? More importantly, why was it approved? I believe Albertans deserve clear answers to these questions before this initiative proceeds any further. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I put a link to the story I showed you there, and I sign it John R. Bolton, Calgary, Mackenzie Town. I did get an answer to my questions from Gordon McClure, the Chief Electoral Officer, but it didn't answer my questions. It gave me the runaround. They basically cut and paste a bunch of paragraphs from the Citizens Initiative Act. That's all they did. So I didn't get the answers I wanted. But here's the thing. Mr. Lukaszuk's question is this, quote, do you agree that Alberta should remain within Canada, unquote. As I said back then, I'm saying right now, if I vote no, meaning I don't want Alberta to remain in Canada, I want my vote to count. And if enough people say no, Alberta leaves. As the Premier says to Mr. Lukaszuk, there are implications.
Mr. Lukaszuk's vote is a yes-no question. It is a separatist referendum. He may be trying to characterize it differently. But if you ask people if you want to remain in Alberta, yes or no, there are implications if people answer no.
Mr. Lukaszuk, no doubt, will be all over Twitter and social media, likely news stories tonight saying how he's done a wonderful thing to keep Alberta within Canada. He's probably standing in front of a mirror right now, combing his hair and putting on his makeup. But he may have triggered an independence vote here. And all the people that signed his petition were fooled into thinking it was about keeping Alberta in Canada. This could be a major fail and could be a huge win for the independence movement. See the grin on my face? Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I'll see you in the next one.